Hey, people, this is the time. I mean, we are legitimately worth a shit this year.
Oh, yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, outsiders of all ages, it's a What Are You Drinking Wednesday edition. Here we go. And it is The Outsiders, brought to you by Poncho. There's cold in a Poncho shirt. PonchoOutdoors.com. Check out all the great stuff. Heck, our guest tonight might just have a Poncho shirt on. You're just going to have to wait and see. Here are your outsiders, and then we'll tell you about that guest. Your upper left is Chance Mock. Chance, what are we drinking?
Oh, we're always drinking the water, the MVP vodka with a little splash of the lime juice, so it's beautiful. That's what we do.
Sounded tasty. Speaking of vodka, I'm sipping on some Deep Eddy Peach in a mason jar tonight. Nothing fancier than that. Your lower right is Jason Dick, and he's always drinking something weird. What do you got, Jason?
Well, quick story time, gentlemen. I was playing some pickleball earlier this evening. Great night for pickleball, 20-mile-per-hour winds. That's the way to do it. I hit myself in the face with my own paddle, all right? If you look closely, you'll notice I got a slight abrasion on my nose there. I cried. Now, you guys know you get hit in the nose, you start crying, even if you're a grown man, all right? That was not the case here, all right? I was crying because I'm a gigantic baby. And so I managed to pick myself up an HEB distilled baby water. All right. If I can get the light right now.
Wow.
It says baby on it right here. All right. That's a baby water. Well, I don't know how or what. You guys are all dads. What do babies drink separate water? I don't understand. But here.
Did somebody kick you in your ball sack, or I mean, what happened here?
Hey. Just don't put it in the corner. That's all we're saying, okay? Just don't put the baby in the corner.
I can't taste the baby in it at all. I don't understand this.
That is fantastic. Your lower left tonight is the country gorilla, Bo Edge. Bo, what are you drinking?
Well, it was one of those days, so we went with the big cup. Brown water and a Whataburger Yeti. What else could go wrong?
Yeah, that's a big day. That is a big day. Coming up at 9:15, the one and only Jay Brent Cox is going to join us. We'll talk a little Longhorn baseball. We'll see what he's been doing. We'll get him to tell you a story or two, and he and Chance may swear at each other. You have no idea.
We may talk about Jay Flores, who only combined for 850 freaking feet of home runs on one night. I mean, I don't know.
See? That might happen. I have no idea. We got Sal checking in from Gotham City. Thanks to everybody who's jumping in on the Specs chat tonight. And tonight we're going to get started with a little bit of a Texas football topic. Gentlemen, I realized y'all know I keep up with dates and stuff. We're 20 days away from spring practice. As of today, 20 days. So less than 3 weeks away from spring practice beginning. And what I realized as we've been talking, getting ready for the show, this is the official first year of Quinn Ewers is the quarterback. Arch Manning is the backup. There's not a quarterback between them. There's not a redshirt year to talk about. This is a whole new ball game that starts in 20 days. And Chance, the outsiders figured you might be a guy who could talk about something like this. So when it comes to Quinn and Arch, how do these two big dogs coexist in a year like this? You've kind of been on both sides of this teeter-totter. Talk to me about it.
Okay, so just because we are the outsiders and we do things a little bit differently, I want to hold that question for 2 seconds because I want to talk about, you just said 20 days till spring training. This is what's bizarre to me. Yesterday was the anniversary of the day Cole Pittman died. And what most people don't realize is the day Cole Pittman died, we were supposed to start spring training.
Wow.
Cole was supposed to be with me in Houston because it was Kenny Chesney, and that was when Kenny Chesney was big, and I was bringing him to the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo. So interesting enough that is the day that yesterday was, and we're still 20 days away from when spring training starts. But that aside, RIP Cole. I think it's really interesting that people are making a big deal about it. I got to be part of a huge, huge battle between Chris and Major. And it was a battle. If people remember back then, it was a battle that, I mean, it literally separated the fan base. It was almost like a civil war. You were either an Applewhite fan or you were a Sims fan, right? Mm-hmm. And it was bizarre. So being thrown into that meeting room, having to sit through film, This is the outsiders. Let's say shit that's real. Let's talk about how it really happened. Those two didn't like each other. Okay, they weren't good friends. The media wanted to tell you they were good friends, and that's fine. It is what it is. Major's a grown man. Chris is a grown man. They did their own thing. I was caught in the middle. You had a different situation. At one point, there was me, Chris, Vince. We were all 5 stars in the same, and that was a whole different dynamic. And I think that's the dynamic that you have right now is you have 2 quarterbacks that actually respect each other. Archie knows his place. And I think this is where me and Chris really, there's a lot of similarities between, and for the love of God, because of the internet, I'm not saying I'm Archie Manning at all. Let's just go ahead and put that shit out there because I know how the fucking internet works, okay?
Dance Mock says he's as good as Arch Manning.
Yeah, fuck that shit. No. But my point being, I looked at Chris and I knew my path, okay? Chris was a 5-star and I knew my path. So I was Chris's biggest fan. I wanted Chris to do well because when Chris did well, I knew he would move on. It would be my time. I think the same thing is true. Archie knows. He's no idiot. He has grown up in the greatest football quarterback family in history. I mean, there's the Arch Manning Passing Academy, for God's sakes. Everybody and their dog lines up to try to go to that camp. People in the NFL, quarterbacks in the NFL, the best, try to go be counselors at that camp. Like, there's a reason why. Arch is fine with where he's at. And I think there's a mutual respect there. Is Arch going to try to go out and win the job? He absolutely is. There is not a snowball's chance in hell that he's going to take a day off and think, I'm just giving this up. But is he okay if he has to get his role where it works this year? I think he's fine with it because I think he knows the bigger plan. He plays 2 years. He's going to the NFL. He's going to be a first-round pick. Move on down the road.
Interesting. Jason or Bo, you have anything to add to the conversation or to ask Chance?
Yeah. So as we're having this conversation, part of the problem that I saw with the dynamic between Sims and Applewhite, and I was there at that time when people were literally having white apples on their car. You designated whether you're an Applewhite person or a Sims person. And I remember a friend getting their window bashed in because they had a Sims sticker like on their like. Jeez. The fan base was definitely.
There were wait a minute. There were Sims stickers. What was on it? A limo?
No, it just said Sims.
Okay. There was no limo, Chad.
I know there was no limo. That was a joke. I'm sorry. I'm adding.
I'm trying to tell everybody he is not the Aggie you think he is. He's not.
I know. I'm adding to the problem. I'm sorry. I'll shut up. Go ahead, Bo.
But my point is, when Sims came into a situation where Applewhite wasn't as established as Quinn is right now. Like when Arch came here, Quinn was the guy. So he knew what he was signing up for, therefore he got it. Sims, and you and I have disagreed on this before, Sims was kind of sold when he was being recruited that it was going to be his ship, and then Applewhite exploded on the scene, and Mac didn't know what to do with it. So he kind of made it a battle. Like, oh, they're going to battle, and he really made it a battle. Arch is coming into a situation where he knew the blueprint. He came here partially because of the blueprint, because his family didn't want him to have to be a true freshman starter at a place like the University of Texas. They wanted him behind Quinn. Now, did they expect Quinn to stay another year? Probably not. And they'll battle, but at least he knew the landscape. It wasn't a blindside. And I think Sims a little bit got blindsided, as you've talked about with Coach Brewster and that's the same number Troy Aikman wore. Like, he was sold a lot of things, but the job wasn't there.
No, for those of you that hadn't heard it, I will say one of the greatest stories. Tim Brewster is one of the greatest recruiters I've ever met. And he recruits Chris Sims, and he's going to wear number 2 and number 2 and number 2. And yeah, you're getting number 2. He shows up on the first day of training camp. And he walks in his locker, and hanging in there is his nice, pretty Texas Longhorn jersey with the number 8. So Chris, in true Chris Sims fashion, walks his happy ass upstairs to Brew's locker and goes, "What the fuck, Brew? They gave me number 8." He goes, in true recruiting fashion, just like your boy Troy Aikman.
It's like, didn't miss a beat. Didn't miss a beat. And that's That's the
He may have forgot
psychology
that
of
he even promised him number 2.
Yeah. And Jason, that's all about psychology. And that's what fascinates me in this discussion of these two guys, Quinn and Arch, how they'll deal with it and how the coaching staff deals with it and how they present this story.
Yeah, I don't know if it's as smooth sailing as these guys have set it up to be so far. Look, I obviously have no insider information on this, only outsider information on this. But when was the last time Arch Manning went an entire season without playing football? Now we're asking him to go 2 seasons. And we discussed a lot on this program how we believe that he and his family all understood that he would come to Texas and he would redshirt or he would not play this first year. But I think the blueprint, as Bo mentioned, was that Quinn Ewers would be gone and Arch Manning would be anointed and would have, would take control of the program starting this season. Now Quinn Ewers is coming back. Arch Manning, I'm sure, is not used to people saying, "Yeah, you're going to be the backup." Look, we don't even know if Arch Manning can play. All right, and he's up against a guy. Is Quinn Ewers still the Heisman Trophy favorite going into the season? So it seems pretty obvious that he is the incumbent. He is the starter. But if there's anything that Quinn Ewers has struggled with, it is consistency. And if he has one of those games where he just seems off, I know it doesn't matter, but there's going to be people calling for Arch Manning, and I think that it could become an issue if Quinn Ewers doesn't just light the world on fire.
Well, but Jason, here's one way I think Sark and the team can manage it. Arch has a skill set that isn't really in Quinn's wheelhouse, or at least shouldn't be based on the injury history of Quinn Ewers. Arch is more athletic running the football. If they can find ways to incorporate Arch in limited play sets into the offense, especially in the games that aren't Michigan, like in the games in these kind of ramp-up games, give Arch some snaps in short yardage and let him run pass option. Let him get a feel for the game, feel the crowd. Then from everything I see about Arch, the dude just wants to fucking win. Like at the end of the day, if they're winning, he doesn't need the ego play. He's a freaking Manning. His two uncles are on TV all the time. His grandpa's a, damn near Hall of Famer. I don't think he needs the ego boost.
Yeah, but
he's got the money. He's got the ego. If he's getting some reps, I think he'll be okay till it's his time.
For that exact reason, he's a freaking Manning. He doesn't sit on the bench. How many? I mean, did Peyton Manning ever sit on the bench for an entire year? Did Eli Manning?
Years.
Eli did, and I will disagree with you. There's very rarely that I disagree with you, Jason. This is one time that I will. Do I think that Arch is going to do everything in his power to prove that he should be the starter? Yes. Do I think it's possible? No, I don't. Because you got a guy, like you said, that is a top 3 favorite for the Heisman going into the season on a team that is one of the top 2, if not 3 teams that Vegas thinks is going to win the national title. Okay. So are the odds stacked against him? Yes. I think the Mannings play an extremely patient game. I think he has trained his entire life for this. I sat in a room with Peyton and Eli, and one of the funny things that they said was they were, they banter back and forth and they're having a good time. And Peyton was like, hey, or Eli goes, hey, yeah, Peyton, who is it that holds the record for interceptions by a rookie? And Peyton was like, yeah, well, I did, but you're only 4 behind me and you didn't start the first 6 games. I did. They've got that mojo that I don't think it phases them. I think Arch is playing his own game. I think he knows where he's going, whereas most kids are trying to get as much money in NIL, and we got to get playing time. We got to get out there because we're trying to boost Arch Manning knows where he's going. He knows where the path leads him. And you said we don't know what Arch can do. I can tell you, I've watched a lot of football. I've watched a lot of kids. I've never seen a freshman with that much pressure. I don't know that we've seen a freshman with that much pressure to ever walk into a game. To be the nephew of Eli and Peyton Manning in your first ever game to walk on a field against Texas Tech, that is, you want to talk about immense amount of pressure? Huge. And the kid was so – I just watched the way his body was. He wasn't tense. I was there with Bo. He was relaxed. He was telling the crowd to calm down. It's all good. We're fine. The dude is mature beyond his years. I don't worry about it one bit.
You know, we're going to be talking about this for the next 20 days and plus as we get ready for that quarterback discussion. Obviously, more on that. If you want to jump in the chat, you can jump in there. If you want to send us a super chat, it'll go right to the top of the line. We're about to have one of those world famous Outsiders interviews. Before we get that, let's take a breath and have you thinking about, well, I don't know, maybe the top of your house with Prosperity Roofing, maybe.
I wish mine looked like that.
Inappropriate. I don't know what the big deal is. Mine used to look like that.
Is your new roof what everyone's talking about? A new roof from Prosperity Roofing will certainly draw some attention.
Now that's what I'm talking about.
Everything important in your life happens under your roof. Let Prosperity Roofing transform your home into something to talk about.
Inappropriate. You know what is appropriate? It's those interviews from the Outsiders, and it's brought to you by Last Stand Hats. You see that Outsider white hat there in the picture? That's the one that's right here in my background. Bo's rocking it right now. That's the old, that's the Daryl Gus hat, as I like to say. Chance has got, that's not a Last Stand hat, but that is that's a brand new dog is what that is.
He won't leave me alone.
Right there.
That's Stevie.
Stevie's getting after it tonight. Shout out to the Outsiders and Last Stand. You go Outsiders 10 for your promo code. And since we're about to talk to a baseball legend, maybe check out those Occupy Left Field hats they've got at Last Stand Hats.
Hey, how cool, by the way, just how cool is that Yeti wall? I mean, we're trying. It's not quite up to Mississippi State and Ole Miss standards, but damn, it's getting close. That's pretty freaking cool. And the fact that we're launching home runs into there this early in the season is awesome.
It is a great idea, and it does look like a good time. And when you win 15-4 in your last game, and you're 7-1 already on the season, things are looking really good. Let's talk a little Longhorn baseball and some other stuff, and we'll get a perspective on tonight's conversation. Let's all cross our fingers. We had a little technical stuff earlier. We'll see if it holds. Because y'all know when I'm in charge of the technical, things get weird. Let's see what happens here. But we want to thank first off Justin Simmons, who last week we said, hey, we've been doing the guest snake thing. Who can you get us? And he thought of this guy. He thought of J. Brent Cox. Let's see if we can bring him in here. Let's see if I have the ability. Oh, I think I have the ability. Wait a second. Hold on. See if we get him there.
We got a black box.
Turn the lights on, Jay Brent. Turn the lights on.
Now, for some reason, I'm just seeing that. Jay Brent, do you hear us?
I hear you loud and clear, man.
Okay.
Jay Brent is joining. He's joining the legend of Shane Leckler.
You remember episode 1 of The Outsiders? I think Jay Brent Cox is in Chris Abbott's basement. All right.
Is that what it is? Is that the deal? That is crazy.
Hey, no, it works. Jay Black Box. Oh wait, no, Jay Brent Cox, not Jay Black Box.
It can work. We'll just pretend
Jesus
like Jay
Christ, Bo.
We can pretend like Jay just doesn't. Jay Brent doesn't want anybody to know what he looks like and all that good stuff. So, Bo, why don't you start us off with Jay Brent Cox?
All right. Well, Jay Brent, you have a unique thing in the fact that you're one of the few men in this world that finished a game at Omaha for the Texas Longhorns. Tell Longhorn Nation how it feels to throw the final pitch for a natty.
Well, it's going to sound pretty cliche and pretty niche or whatever, but I mean, as Chance and some of those other people that have been in those positions can tell you, it literally was the best feeling in the world. I mean, coming off of getting our shit pushed in the year before by Cal State Fullerton and losing in that national game, once we got to Omaha and got past Ole Miss, we thought it was honestly, our turn to win. And that group of guys, we still hunt and fish together, every year, and I'm on 9 different group type of guys, and it's one of those deals, like I said, that Chance can kind of attest to. Yeah, the trophy in the ring that's cool. He forgets about that shit, man. Like I couldn't tell you who won the College World Series 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago, but I can definitely tell you who I'm hanging out with and talking to every day and who I'm sharing family time with. And that's what it's all about to me.
That's awesome. Chance, you got something?
Yeah, absolutely. JB, I know you talk about those group texts, and the thing that everybody, that sucks when you get done playing is that locker room, right? Like that's the best part of playing outside of the actual game itself. When you look back, I'm sorry, I got a dog in my face. When you look back at those times, tell me like the one moment that you looked at and you're like, this is the moment like that I worked for. This is it. I mean, I know that you had that final out in the College World Series, but just there was for me, there was a weird moment that we had in Nebraska. And we won in Nebraska, and it was a shitty, cold, rainy night. And I sat there with my buddies, and I was like, fuck, dude, we just won in Nebraska. Like, that shit is cool. Was there one of those moments for you where it's just different? Not that big stage, but just that moment with your guys.
Yeah, so it was on a relatively big same year. About a week and a half before that, we played Ole Miss in the Super Regional, and you ask anybody on that team, coaches, players, that was the best team in the nation that year. That's another reason that like when we felt we got to Omaha that we had it won, because we felt we had already beat the best team in the nation. Well, series, game 2, we got rained out in game 1. In the 4th inning, we were ahead. Played the second game the next day. I come in with the big lead. I go to field a bunt. I fall down, throw it nine rows in the stands. Essentially shit the bed, gave the whole game away, right? So in between, we had another doubleheader coming up because of rain delay. Coach Garrido comes over there. He's like, hey, he always called me Jay. Hey, Jay, I know you're feeling like shit right now. You going to be ready to go this? Well, absolutely. Yes, sir, I would. At that point in time, I was saying it, but I really wasn't sure if I fucking meant it or not. So it was a big – if we lost, we were going home. If we won, we were going to Omaha. And coming in that same day, that same night of me crapping down and being able to close out that game, and as luck would have it, I actually struck out Stephen Head, who was a great ball player, and to pick up to send us to Omaha. For me personally, I felt like that was the time where I literally was able to take care and get us where we needed to go. And I feel like that was a mutual feeling from them to me and from me to them. And that was a really, really
Well, so I got to ask you one more question, because this is one. Oh shit! Hey, I'm singing in Red Rock right now, but no. One more question that I got to ask, because I think it's relevant to this year's baseball team as well as the Texas football team. I know that your team, like when I was around you guys, when we would go out, like y'all knew, y'all exude excellence. Like you knew, hey, this is what's on the map. And we were the same way in football. Like, hey, we're going to go win it. Now, we didn't. Y'all did. That's the difference. But talk about that confidence, because I try to talk about it on the show, and it's interesting to hear from other people. When you know you're that guy or that team, and you know this is what's on the map, like it's almost like you walk into a game and it doesn't matter if you're down 5 runs, because you're like, fuck it, we're going to win because we're the better team.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. As you mentioned, in the locker room with the camaraderie, and then in the weight room, your 5 a.m. workouts. I don't know what time y'all worked out, but after it, just like all that character, loyalty, and trust with your teammates, is built in those situations. And it makes it to the point where you you feel like you've already had this game won. Just like you said, if you're down 5 runs or if you're down 2 touchdowns, oh, we got time, we got this. Deep breath, we're going to get it. And that feeling, like you said, is very, very hard to put a finger on and describe, because it's not just get away with. it's something that's earned through actions, through others. And yeah, man, we had it. Emmons mentioned this on the last podcast, but that little stretch there for Texas was in football, softball, basketball, you name it. So it wasn't like we were the only cats in town walking around, cocky. I mean, I think everybody same thing, thinking copper tank.
Bro, you think about it, and people. I mean, let's just think about this. Just at one time, we had you, Onaveris, Street, Simmons, Drew, Stubbs on the baseball team. We had C. Red, C. Benson, Chris Sims, Major Applewhite. We had TJ Ford. We had Cat Osterman. I mean, you think about what was there when we were there. I mean, holy shit.
Yeah, it was a pretty special time to be at the university, because that's for damn sure. It's I still look back on those times we had and all the success we had, and I'm pretty blown away, by the success we had, especially when you start talking to other guys. You get in the minor league baseball, and some of these guys, I actually think didn't really minor league / professional baseball as much as some other people, is because, man, when you go from winning the College World Series at Texas and going to the College World Series 3 years in a row, to playing A-ball in Tampa, Florida, in front of your grandma and 4 other fucking, it's pretty big letdown, if you catch my drift.
Yeah, that's
a
little bit of a difference. Yeah, that's it. Jason, you got something for Jay Brent?
Jay Brent, thanks for being on the show tonight, man. Augie Garrido is probably my favorite Texas coach of any sport ever of all time. I met him one time for about 30 minutes, and in that half hour, he told so many incredible stories. I assume that you have a whole bunch of great Augie Garrido stories. Could you share one with us? And I might have a follow-up for you.
Yeah, just like Simmons said, man, I wouldn't say most of them. We all have tons of Augie clothes, but he's just one of those guys that always had your back. so one of the ones that I kind of tell you, junior year in 2005, the year we won the College World Series, I think we started the season 16-0. We were kicking everybody's ass. We were better than hot. We were in Arizona. I think I might have pitched Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, but I know I pitched Saturday and Sunday. I wasn't doing spots. Saturday, I felt like the umpire was squeezing me. We got out of it. We won. Sunday, I come back in to close again for a getaway day game. The home plate umpire from the night before is on the first baseline, and I think the last out, the grounder hit that. So I had to go cover first base, and I'm still pissed off, mainly not because of the umpires, but really because I was pitching shitty and we were still winning stuff, right? So I go over there and I start letting the first place umpire just have it, giving them every piece of my mind. So he does like a, hey, you're fucking out of here, toss me sign. I'm like, well, the game's over. Who gives a shit? We're about to get on the bus, go to Boston. Forward, 5 minutes later, we're doing the Eyes of Texas. Scott Wilson leading the Eyes of Texas at Arizona. And behind me, like I said, he always calls me Jay. And he's like, hey, Jay, I think they're going to do some type of post-game ejection. I was like, fuck them. Yeah, Jay, fuck them. Let's go. That's all he said. Left it at that. Never heard another word.
That's awesome, man. Well, on that note, and feel free to tell me to fuck off about this, but Justin Simmons last week told us, it's not a secret, detailed an evening you guys shared before you were supposed to leave to Omaha. We'll skip over the details, but you wound up getting to Omaha a day late. I just want to know, what did Augie say to you when you what was the first conversation once you finally arrived in Omaha?
I think it went, hey, glad you can make it. And then it was just nothing else. That was it. And I think all my team kick out of it. To be fair there to myself and everybody else, I'm not the only one that went out to, cocktails. Just happened to, get my wrist slapped that night.
Dude, nobody cared after y'all took care of business. Like that's just it went unnoticed. So JB, I gotta ask you because I think it's awesome. The way that the world of sports now with TV and everything else, college baseball is finally getting the respect it needs. Like it's finally getting the TV viewership that we need. You can watch games. It's such a great sport to watch. And that's one thing I hated moving back to Houston is that I didn't get the Longhorn Network just because of which carrier I had. But so I couldn't watch college baseball. And growing up, you couldn't watch college baseball until it got to the Super Regionals. You'd have the Super Regionals and the World Series. How awesome is it that now college baseball is accessible to everybody at all times, and it's making the sport freaking phenomenal.
I think everybody's in agreement that baseball, from like you and Simmons talked about last, from 8 youth school to college, is bigger than it's ever been before. Huge following. I think there's people playing baseball that this world wouldn't be playing baseball, and I think that's a great thing. It raises the bar for everybody, right? I know, kind of with the Yeti section behind the left field wall. I was told they're going to also do it in the right center.
Oh, that'd be so
well,
awesome.
And things are great. Yeah, I think all those things are great because not to kind of get off topic, but the dish was historical night for college baseball, right? It was a big, cement monument for everybody that came in there, but too hard, wildest and loudest and craziest place you've ever played until you got to postseason, right? But I'll say this, and I told Simmons last Saturday, and the crowd there was no different than, I won't say a super regional, a ring crowd, which for our early Tuesday game against Cal Poly, or Saturday game, early season against Cal Poly, was pretty damn. I think he's heading in the right direction, and I'm really excited that we're getting more of the young student turnouts because I think that was we were always lacking. I think you kind of need that extra firepower from the fan base.
No, and JB, I used to come watch you guys because I was a baseball guy. I was better at baseball than I was at football, but I hated my high school coach, and so I admired you guys a lot, and I enjoyed watching y'all play. And the dish was never felt intimidating when you were sitting in the stands. There's those places you can go to the box in LSU, and you sit in the stands, and you can just feel it. Like it's different, right? And now all of a sudden they've atmosphere in Texas into a pretty damn intimidating place. Like it was intimidating just because of the history, like you said, but the crowd and everything else, it was nothing. Once you got in the game, you can roll. But now it's like, damn, like this is a tough place to play.
No, I agree. And like I said, I think it couldn't come at any better of a time now with us moving to the SEC, because like you just alluded to and said with the LSU crowds, I mean, LSU, Mississippi State, Ole Miss, I was there for that one. It gets real quick. They don't let off of you. They don't pump the brakes for 9 innings. So it's I'm glad we're going in the right direction with that.
Hey, Bo, you got one more for Jay Brent?
I do, and I'm going to put him a little bit on the spot because he played with 2 proud alumnus of Round Rock High School, and they're and 2 of the biggest moments of that 05 season were Nick Peoples and Chance Wheelis, winning games. He doesn't know that Jason Dick was actually the most famous alumnus from Round Rock and hit a homer off JV pitcher number 13 from Temple back in the day. But if you had to pick a Round Rock guy to go to war with, would it be Nicky or would it be Chance? And if you were declined to answer, I get it.
He's picking
So,
Chance because of my
if I'm
name.
going out dancing into the bar, I'm probably gonna pick Chance Wheelis. But if I gotta get in a dog fight and start biting ankles, I'm taking none other than Nick Peoples, the dirtbag himself. That's him.
I see Nicky from time to time, and if there was a fight to the death, you want Nicky. But if there's a fight with manpower, you want Chance.
That's good
That's right.
stuff.
That's right,
Jay
man.
Brent Cox, we appreciate the time tonight, brother. Thank you for dealing with the connection issues, some great stories, and we'd love to have you back on the Outsiders, at some point. Enjoy that baseball season because Texas definitely looks good this year.
Hey, it's a big
Thanks for
weekend,
having me,
Jay
guys.
Brent. It's a big weekend.
All right.
Yes.
There we go. Jay Brent Cox. Yeah, that's that
It's
that
a huge
connection
weekend.
has been a little wild tonight, but we got some good stuff out of Jay Brent Cox.
Dudes.
Well, they got LSU Friday night. They got Vanderbilt on Sunday. They got Chad's Aggies on Tuesday. And then we get to drive. Well, not me or you, but some of them are going to drive to Lubbock to go to Dan Law Field for a 3-game set. That's 6 real ranked opponents in a stretch.
Hey, and if you want to know something really funny, Dan Law used to babysit me when I was a kid.
Wow. There's a wild stat.
Yeah.
That explains so much, but
That's
that
good.
list is long and distinguished of the reasons you ended up the way you did.
Can we bridge that some way into the bullshit that happened this weekend?
Did Dan Law also babysit the guy they dragged out of that arena last night? How's that for a tie-in? Can we do
Apparently
that?
not, because Dan Law would whoop your ass if you even smiled wrong.
Yeah.
Like, you could say, yes, sir. No, that wasn't good enough.
That's not gonna do it. All right, so we'll discuss a little bit of that, a little basketball, maybe a little more football before we are done. Right now, though, we're gonna have Chance tell you a little bit about the man himself and Prodigy Mortgage. Chance, tell him about it now. I'm gonna put him up on the screen. Come on.
It's so easy to talk about Thad Lindsay and his crew because, look, Jay Brent was on here. He's a pitcher, right? He's the one throwing it. And he's trying to do everything he can to get you out, but it takes a team behind you to make it work. And that's what Prodigy Mortgage does. They're freaking phenomenal. They will get you across the line. Look, everybody has a realtor. I get it. Use your own realtor. That's fine. Use our friends. That's who we'd like you to use. But when you got to get a deal done, you go to Prodigy Mortgage. And our guy, Thad Lindsay, he's going to get it done. Look, 281-772-6786 is the number. He is phenomenal. Nobody wants to have to stress about closing their house. You can find the house you love, but if you can't get financing, guess what? It's not going to happen. So give him my guy Thad. He'll take care of you. Give him a call. Scan that QR code right there, because that's the easiest way to do it. But if you don't want to scan the QR code, give them a call, 281-772-6786. Thad Lindsay, Prodigy Mortgage, they'll do a great job.
This is The Outsiders, brought to you by Poncho. Our thanks again to Jay Brent Cox, talking Longhorn football to start out with the 5-star quarterback issue, because, it's a good problem to have. But you also got to figure out how to make it work. We'll continue to talk about that. But the reference was made, fellas, to last night in Lubbock. It did get wild. It did get crazy. And let's see. Is this our man, Chris Bennett? Kid was really arrested. I knew he was carried out, but I didn't know he got arrested. It took 4 or 5. It was like a wrestling event. It was 4, 5, 6 different officers carrying him up those stairs.
I don't know if he's a student, but get that kid into gymnastics. He's got some flexibility that I do not possess. The way they're bending that guy's arms up, I was like, whoa. Mine's just going to snap off if you do that to me.
He's loose, Jason. He's stretched out. He's ready to go.
What do you think he felt like in the morning when he woke up in the drunk tank, though? Like, I mean, at the moment, he's screaming F Texas and I'm big and bad. He's been twisted like a pretzel, thrown in the drunk tank with some, dudes like him. And next thing you know, he wakes up. How's that hangover going to feel?
Well, I don't know how the hangover feels, but I know this. If I was sitting in his section, the way he behaved, he might have been just carried out limp, because I wouldn't have dealt with that bullshit. I mean, but that's how Tech fans get. And you got to remember, my parents are Tech grads. I love Texas Tech. I woke up my freshman year in high school. I woke up from a dream where I had gotten an offer to play football at Texas Tech University, and I was at the top of Jones Stadium. I woke up crying, like not like sad. I woke up crying with tears of joy because that was what I wanted to do my entire life. So I'm not saying this as somebody that just hates Texas Tech. I have two parents. My dad was an All-American there. Like, I love Tech, but, well, I don't love them. No, not at all. Actually,
You want to do the, like, can you give me a little Taylor Swift? Do you have like that? Can you
I
do that one?
really dislike them. But anyway, the point being, that dude is what a douchebag. Like, I would love for that dude to be sitting next to me and just throw a quick right hand and just put him to sleep. Good night. Have a good time. What a dick. And the throwing shit on the court, really, to have your head coach have to come out and be like, hey, guys, let's stop throwing shit on the court. It's going to get a technical. Really?
But the funny part was, and this was the part that you kind of got to like a little bit, though. Like, we've all been to Lubbock when we were in college, or I think so. You've never been to Lubbock?
No.
Chad, you ever make a trip to Lubbock?
Oh, I've been there. I just don't know if I did it during college.
Okay, but you get my before.
I've been born there.
Yeah.
I can smell it from here. I don't need to go. I'm fine.
But it is a party. I think everybody would agree.
As a child, Jason, stop.
Texas Tech is a fun party school. There's a reason they say if you can't get your grades up, get your guns up, because that's what goes on up in Lubbock. The fact that what was getting thrown onto the court was mini fireballs. Like, it wasn't like in normal places they're throwing wax cups or whatever. It was all fireball bottles. Like, it wasn't anything but fireball.
What's up with where are the tortillas? You guys don't bring the tortillas to the basketball game? Fling some tortillas out there. I thought that was your brand.
Man, it was
They hadn't hardened up in 4 days, like those jackasses that camped out for 4 days to go in and watch your team get beat.
Oh, you just hit on the biggest story of the entire thing. How would you feel if you were a guy that camped out for 4 days? You're in college, right? You're trying to have some fun with your girlfriend or whatever, and she's like, you haven't taken a shower in 3 days, bro. Like, no. All right, well, I'm going to the Tech basketball game, baby. We're going to beat up on those Longhorns. And then you just get embarrassed like that. You're going, oh.
Well, you know what's even worse, Chance? Is those guys that were out there were pledges. You know it. Like, they were all fraternity pledges. So first they have to camp out for 4 days. Then they got to go watch that debacle. And then they got to go home and, like, clean the damn toilet because all the actives come back pissed off. Like, pledges, you're going to scrub toilets tonight. You bought the wrong ticket.
Hey, Bo, you want to take it one step farther? What if they were all pledges that camped out all day and then the actives said, yeah, those are our tickets. Go home.
Well, I think they'd be happy that they went home because they didn't have to watch that debacle. Yeah.
Hey, and props to Brock Cunningham, who not only leaves the court for the last time in Lubbock with the horns up, but excellent form tackle, head across the bow. I mean, like, I don't know his eligibility situation, but Sark, let's put some shoulder pads on this guy.
Dude, right? I don't know where Robert Ory was last night, but man, he must have been proud of that slide tackle. That was impressive.
Can I ask the two Longhorn fans, because I don't want to ask the Aggie, but Brock Cunningham has had, I mean, his career has been up and down, right? Like, he's a guy he's served some really good purposes, and he has been a huge contributor, but he's kind of been a program guy. I mean, that would be how I would describe him.
Yeah.
Then a hustle play to the ball, and I didn't think it was dirty. I mean, I'm sorry. It was a Texas. I didn't think it was. I thought he laid his shoulder into him, and I'm going for the ball. Sorry. That's sport.
It wasn't dirty in 1988's Pistons Bulls, but by today's standards, you don't get to throw the flying shoulder. What I loved, though, was Brock Cunningham.
Today's standards, people are pussies. How about that?
That's fine. What I loved was Brock Cunningham acting surprised, like, What, me?
What?
You watch the replay. He checked him like a hockey player into the damn scores table. I loved it. That's great, but don't. Huh? What are you talking about?
The fact that he got up with the Tim Duncan, Kobe Bryant, moi? Like, really? Like,
once he gets tossed, he's like, the only thing that would have been, and obviously he can't do that. Well, he could have, but in college, is if he'd have just been going up, middle finger player, and like, fuck you.
No, but he went out even better. He went out with the horns up.
Yeah, right. Like, but Chance, this is the only question. As long as you're fair to do this, you're good. If that had happened exactly in reverse, last time in Austin, Texas Tech is blowing Texas away, and a Tech player does that exact thing to a Longhorn player, you'd be good with it. You'd say it wasn't dirty, and you wouldn't go on the internet and rip the kid. You'd say, hey, good clean play.
I would say it exactly how I've said it here. I think we have gotten so freaking soft. It's ridiculous. And I loved it. I think it's – I wouldn't have been happy with it. I'm not going to say I loved it, but you know what? You kicked our ass. Congratulations. Good job. See you next year.
He may have found a future career path as a heel in the WWE or whatever the hell they call it now, because Cunningham's not tiny. Like he's a big
6'8".
Huh?
He's 6'8".
Yeah, I mean, he's not, Razor Ramon, big muscle guy, but I guarantee you Brock Cunningham can handle himself.
Yeah. I think look, it was an aggressive play. I don't know if we have to say dirty. Everybody, any player, doesn't matter who you are getting the flagrant 2 and getting ejected there. I think Brock Cunningham maybe he gets a little leeway because he's a hustle kid. That's what he does. He makes hustle plays.
Right.
And so
that's what he's done his whole career.
Yeah, it was in character for him. I don't know if I'm going to say go as far as to say it was not a dirty play. It was aggressive. It was very aggressive.
Well, it was the tone of the game. Like Chris Bennett put it in the text line, and he's 100% accurate. The elbow that Asmus took early in that game kind of set the tone that it was going to be that kind of game with the crowd and everything else. So who was going to be the Texas guy in a blowout that was going to put somebody in the dirt? It was going to be Brock, and it was going to be the guy that elbowed Asmus, and it was going to be just like that. That's why,
Here's the thing. I don't care.
I don't either.
Last night, not last night, Monday night, I'm in a prep league baseball game, and we got a kid pitching that's maybe 4'10", and this kid that's 6 foot hits a home run off of him, and he pimps it. He walks halfway down the line. He spikes his bat, and I told the coach, I said, I did throw 96 in high school, and if that was me, I'd have fucking hit the next kid in his head. And he was like, oh, well, you're a tough guy? I said, no, I'm not a tough guy, but that's bullshit. Your kid is 3 times the size of this fucking kid, and he hits one out of the park and acts like a little bitch about it. And he was like, well, you're right. He didn't handle it right. Okay, well, shit. So it's the same thing. Once the tone's been set in the game, you play the game. Y'all set the tone. I didn't set it. I'm just going to finish the fucking deal. That's the way it works.
I can't believe you're insinuating that the Texas Tech crowd has ever set a scene in their lives. I mean, I thought it was such a respectful goodbye from the folks in black and red. I felt emotional for y'all watching it. I really felt like it was a brotherhood goodbye.
A good thing they didn't have goalposts hanging around. That's all I'm going to say. It's a good thing there weren't goalposts hanging around, or somebody could have got hurt, or swords.
Hey,
maybe if they had their swords.
I can tell you that for sure. You don't want those people to have goalposts around, Bo. It gets complicated if you do.
You say goalpost, you got to remember, I was a Tech fan when Darwin Ham broke the backboard against North Carolina, and that sprung us to the Elite Eight, where we ran into a guy named Allen Iverson, which was that was rough.
You're also the only guy that I can probably in the existence of this earth that was able to give the double finger salute to a Tech head coach on the sideline of a field.
I did it. I don't give
R.I.P. Mike Leach, but you did give him the double bird.
He did do that. That did happen. A definite big-time goodbye for Texas to Texas Tech.
By the way, as we're having that conversation, does your brother still thank you for that, or is he still mad at you?
He's still mad at me for going to Texas.
Wow.
All right, before we head towards a wrap-up here, we're going to have Bo tell you a little bit about Texan windows. We covered the top of the house, Bo. Let's get to the windows.
That's right. If you're building or renovating your home, trust Texan Windows for all your window needs. 50 years of combined experience, Texan Windows is your expert window company. Superior window sales and service. They have the double pane, low E glass. And here's the thing. Brian Haley is your guy at Texan Windows. By the way, happy birthday, Brian Haley. He just turned, I don't know how old he is. I've known him forever, 40-something. Give him a call, 512-987-8393. Give Brian Haley an outsider's birthday present. Have him come estimate your house's windows and show you what Texas Windows can do.
It is The Outsiders, brought to you by Poncho. So, guys, on the Texas Tech discussion, while people can argue about should the teams play again or whatever, I'm telling y'all, I've told you, you're not going to miss not playing them. We know nobody's going to miss that fan base. Is there a fan base in the SEC that you think will compete with that for you guys as Longhorn fans? Whatever you think about Tech fans, do you think there's a fan base in those other 15 somewhere that's going to remind you of Tech? Bo?
Arkansas.
Yeah. Okay.
Because the hatred is that it's the same hatred that Tech has for Texas.
It's that disrespectful throw objects, just lack of disregard for anything.
Arkansas.
Stuck in the middle of a remote nowhere. Sorry, Chris Abbott. I know your daughter is you're sending a lot of money to Fayetteville, but like it's in the middle of nowhere, like a Lubbock. Like we joke about the Aggie thing and but at the end of the day, there are a lot of Longhorns that have Aggies that they're friends with that are business partners or any number of things.
Our family members, relatives.
It's a brotherly type rivalry. There's a want to beat them, but there's not an absolute hatred. I will contend that on the Aggie side, there's more hatred than the Longhorns going vice versa. But at the end of the day, Longhorns will step in and help Aggies, and et cetera, et cetera. But most Arkansas fans just have this visceral hate of Texas, much like Red Raiders do. And in the SEC, I think it's Arkansas, and that's the only one that has that visceral hate for Texas. There are other ones that don't like Texas and will give us 10 years and our arrogance or whatever will make Moors not like us. But like I've been to road series in baseball at LSU and football games elsewhere. They're actually, when we weren't in the SEC, it was cool. Like, hey, we understand y'all are one of the big dogs. Let's party.
No, and I can see, looking at our text line, I can see Mississippi State being that next Texas Tech. I can see that, but the hate's not there. The Arkansas thing goes way. Let's go back to Frank Broyles and like the '60s, like
the game of the century.
That is
Nolan.
That's a very real. There's a reason most people don't realize this. Jerry Jones is an Arkansas Razorback. There's a reason he hasn't traditionally drafted Texas players, and he's openly said it because even though he's the Dallas Cowboys coach or owner, he's an Arkansas Razorback, and those two things do not mix. They don't like each other. I have a house. Well, I don't have a house. My mother and stepfather have a house up in Texarkana, and I go up there quite a bit. I love being up there. You want to talk about a fan base that just absolutely fucking hates Texas? Arkansas Razorbacks, this is going to be fun.
Yeah, I'm interesting you ended with the word fun. I hope you're right. I hope it's fun. I think it is Arkansas, and a lot of people in the chat are agreeing. We got a couple of good chats tonight from one Morgan Hale, ladies and gentlemen. My sister went to Ole Miss, and the Bulldogs are not nice people. Well, they're not nice to your sister because she's from Ole Miss. Like, that's Egg Bowl stuff. I don't know if Mississippi State is going to hate on Texas to that level.
It's funny when you asked Chad, Mississippi State was kind of the one that popped into my head first, maybe just because of the remote destination. But the problem is the conference is so big, you're going to play them once every 4 years or something. You're not going to see them enough to develop. Like Texas Tech.
Part we don't know yet.
Well,
that part we don't know.
We know we're not going to play them every year. Texas Tech hates the Longhorns because we kick their ass every year for decades.
Right. But I'm saying if they do the scheduling the right way, you could end up playing everybody in the SEC in like 2 years.
But I mean, by most mock-ups of what the SEC is going to do, you're going to have a core group of teams you play regularly. We're going to play Oklahoma and A&M
and Arkansas.
And probably Arkansas.
Yep.
Arkansas, then that hatred will be there, and that team is definitely Arkansas.
I'm telling you, if y'all play Arkansas every single year and you go true home and home, whew.
That's how they should do it.
Well, I'm telling you, I think, Bo, I think you're exactly right. I mean, I'm not looking at the markups. I'm just any person that's working on scheduling in the SEC, you go, it's real easy. You have Florida, Tennessee, and Georgia, and then probably Auburn, right? So those are all in one. Well, you have to. And then, but you have to go Oklahoma, A&M, Texas, Arkansas. Like there's no way you get away from that.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see what they do. We haven't honestly there hasn't been enough really good ideas thrown out of what they could do. The best idea I've seen is a true like a 3-6 model. Texas plays Arkansas, Oklahoma, and A&M every year. The Aggies play Texas, like LSU, and I think it's Mississippi State every year. And when you flesh it out, they keep most of the rivalries you want. There's a couple that are going to have to go away. LSU can't play everybody you want them to play every year. You're going to have to rotate some of that. But I think if they go 3-6, they can get it done. What I wonder is if they stay at 8 conference games, how are they going to deal with all the rotation?
I don't think there is a chance in hell it stays at 8. And I'll tell you why. Money. Part of all this came together because of that SEC football deal. The SEC wants the bang for their buck. The SEC TV partners are going to demand that they get that many more games. They're going to demand it.
No, they're not. They are not going to pressure the SEC into adding another conference game and giving 8 of their teams, half of their league, another loss for the end of the year.
It's a 12-team playoff. They don't give a shit about the losses now. The SEC is going to get 4 or 5 in the playoff.
They will.
I'm siding with Bo on this one.
Okay.
But
I know.
That being said, LSU, Chad, I want to go back to your statement because there are a bunch of teams that are going to be upset. To me, LSU, A&M, LSU, Alabama, and LSU, Arkansas in their little rivalry. Who else would be upset?
Well, the problem is you have too many. I can't believe them
I
saying
didn't
this.
ask you, Bo. Hold on one second.
Right. Every year LSU needs to play Florida and Auburn as well to me, and they wouldn't be doing that.
Why Auburn?
Because it's one of the best games in college football to me. The Tiger Bowl, I love it. Love LSU and Auburn. I've asked an LSU fan, who do you hate the most? And I've had some of them tell me Auburn. I hate Auburn more than I hate anybody else.
If you asked 103 told you, you could say you've had a couple of them told you, but
no, I understand that. I haven't done like some official Gallup poll work.
I'm just saying,
telling
if you were to
I
ask,
love the game.
if you were to ask LSU, and maybe we should ask Tracy this, who are your like real 3? Because I think we get caught up in. I don't say we. I say in your statement. I think people get caught up in other teams that think it's a big game versus like us versus Texas Tech. That's their shit, and we're like, well, we really don't care. Baylor, they versus Texas, they think it's a rivalry, and we're like, no, we had to wear bears, like little bears on our wrist, like it was a joke to us, right? Like you're not a real thing. To LSU, I think Arkansas, I think that game matters because there's a trophy involved. I think Alabama matters, and I think you could have any couple of them, but there's not that many more.
Yeah, well, it's a tough one. LSU is the one team I don't think you're absolutely going to be able to solve it all. But if you guys want, hey, I'll throw the best idea I've seen. Excuse me. I'll throw that best idea up on the screen tomorrow night. We can talk about it.
All right, let's do that.
Yeah,
because
we'll throw a 3-6 idea.
Chance, and I can't believe it's Arkansas, but this happens with a few of the teams. There's so many deep-seated natural rivalries due to territory and due to location. You could say, who are Arkansas? So you could say Texas. You could say Oklahoma going back to the Southwest Conference days. You could say A&M. You could say LSU. You could say Tennessee. And honestly, Missouri is a natural rival for Arkansas. They can't play everybody.
That's a natural rival. There's a whole different. Do you think Tennessee fans go, "Oh, we're playing Arkansas this week, and this is a big ass game"? No, they don't.
Guys,
No,
what
not
about all
Missouri.
the
I think
intense?
Tennessee does care about Arkansas.
What
I
about
do.
all the intense Vanderbilt
One
rivalries?
season. There was literally one season where Arkansas, Tennessee mattered.
You're headed there. You're headed there this year, Jason. If you want to go, Nashville's available for you. I don't know how we got into the SEC scheduling conversation. That's very bizarre.
You never know what's going to happen on the Outsiders.
Hey, we can definitely do that. How about this story from Morgan
Jack,
Hale earlier?
Hold on, before we get to this, that's what makes Texas moving over so much fun. Because we can have these conversations. Like, these are real conversations about storied programs. We're not going, oh, is it Kansas or Kansas State or Texas
Iowa State? Watch out. The Fighting Purdies.
Watch out for that shit. Like, this is why it's such a freaking good thing. We can talk about stuff like this.
No doubt. How about this story from the past, Chance? You'll enjoy this. You got to watch it from an interesting vantage point. Morgan Hale says, I was living in Colorado at the time, called the co-op and asked them what jerseys they had at the time to ship. They steered me away from the Sims to the Applewhite jersey. There you go.
Oh,
that's 100% accurate, and it's 100% why I told y'all it's not a true story. When the media was telling y'all Chris and Major were fine, and that was the media. And we'll talk about this when we get to spring football. Oh, you want to talk about shit being fucking scripted to make certain narratives work? Oh, wait till we get to that shit.
Yeah. Well, and again, we are to this point now. I don't think this is the part of it. Enough people are not. They're not talking about this yet. We're 20 days away from Arch getting half the reps in certain situations. Half the reps for the spring game. What happens if Quinn throws 2 picks and Arch throws 2 touchdowns?
Let me give you a teaser to how that show's going to go.
Yep. Y'all know what happens.
It won't be put in that situation.
Yeah.
He won't be put in that situation. Yeah. I can tell you right now it won't happen.
Right. We're going to get to a lot of those conversations.
I can probably, to be honest, when we get in 20 days, well, it'll be 20 plus 21, so 41 days, I'll be able to tell you the stat line within give or take 10%.
Nice. I like that.
I haven't played in 20 years.
Now that's some insider-outsider stuff for you right there.
Are you saying that there may be a script to spring practice that gets a narrative planted?
How dare you? How dare you throw out such rumors, Mach 5? Before we get out of here, let's let you hear from the good folks at Covert Ford. They got a big old truck they want to show you.
No other vehicle says Texas proud more than a Ford from Covert Ford of Austin. Deeply rooted in Texas history, the Covert family has taken great pride for over 114 years. That's why you can always depend on Covert Ford to deliver the best customer experience and a superior selection of new Ford vehicles. Shop online at covertford.com.
Yes, indeed. Also, before we get out of here, a couple of reminders for you, for all of you outsider fans. Get ready to adjust your schedules slightly. Starting next week, we're going to go to our off football season schedule. We'll go to 1 show a week on Wednesday. We'll pack it all into a What Are You Drinking Wednesday, and we'll back that start time up to 8:30. 1, because, you might want to get started a little earlier, and 2, because it may still go late. So then even if we go late, we're off early. You know what I mean? That's kind of what we're thinking.
Some of us started early.
That's right. Well, starting next week, it'll be Wednesdays at 8:30 for the Outsiders. But we do have one more Thursday show for you. Before that, we'll do it tomorrow night, normal time, 9 o'clock. And thanks to tonight's conversation, we'll make it a 3-6 discussion, a 9 or 8 game SEC discussion. Plus, I still want to get into this more of this football. Hey, imagine that. No, more of this quarterback conversation with Chance. Because one thing we didn't get into, I think that's important, is Chance talked about the Chris and Major stuff, and we can get back into that too. I want to get into a little more Chance of the you and Vince stuff, because I think it's a better barometer for what we're about to see here. Because with all due respect to whatever Major Applewhite was, Major Applewhite was not walking in with the Quinn Ewers type of grades, Quinn Ewers type of status. You did. And then Vince shows up. So we'll talk about some of that stuff too. If you've heard Chance talk about it, it's always fascinating kind of digging inside that 03, 04 time at Texas. And that, for some Texas fans, you're thinking, hey, in some ways you'd like to be headed back into that time period, right? Because you know what happened during that time period. So we'll get into that. Tomorrow night, we'll take a look at what I think is the best idea I've seen for an SEC schedule. You can bring your ideas too, and we will talk about it. One more time, let's go ahead and see that guy. Let's go ahead and see Mr. Accuracy himself in a poncho shirt. You know how many times Colt needs to cast to catch 10 fish? One time. That's how accurate he is. PonchoOutdoors.com. Long sleeve, short sleeve, all of it. Fellas, I wore the Falfurious to a hockey game last night, and I was looking damn sharp. I gotta say, I was looking good. I was killing it.
What,
The
Texas
fact
Stars?
that you wore something called a Falfurious that's the best part of it.
Hold
Looking
on. You went
sharper
to a
than
Texas Stars game and didn't come say hi.
I went. Were you there too?
No, but I live 5 minutes from the stadium. I have your poncho gear sitting in a box.
I am so sorry. I went to a sporting event and I didn't think to myself, who do I know that lives within 10 miles of this that I should go visit?
Exactly.
That obviously should have been my thought.
I know. You're going to get trained to think properly. Next time you go to the Stars, hook your brother up.
I am so sorry. My bad. I went to a Stars game and I didn't think of you. Clearly that was my mistake. What was I thinking?
I was literally right across the street from the stadium having a beer at Red Horn Brewery. You could have came by pregame and we could have had a beer.
Dadgummit. What I should have done is tried to meet you up for that poncho gear I think that you actually have.
I do have it. It's sitting in a box. I could have given you Jason's, and you could have delivered it.
Yeah, you could have stopped at my house on your way back home, Chad, and you could have delivered, and
Chance has some stuff in the box too, but the Woodlands is a little too far away.
I have several errands that I need run. You could have done all of this, all right? But you're just out and watching hockey games and going home, fucking selfish dick.
What a selfish ass I am. God, I am so sorry. I
was gonna,
Chance, whatever it was I was supposed to do for you, I'm so sorry I didn't get by the Woodlands yesterday. My bad.
I haven't figured it out yet. Look, I'll think about it. What you're supposed to do for me.
Wait a minute. I didn't even put the bowling pin up. That's how I wronged you.
There you go.
See, the bowling pin wasn't even up the whole show.
Dick move of the week, right there. Dick move of the week.
Terrible. Dick move of the week.
Hold on, real
Didn't
quick.
put the
In the
thing
reverse
up.
dick move of the week.
That's terrible.
My son was able to get this autograph from CJ Baxter on Saturday night at Lucky 7 Collectibles, but this is the reverse dick move of the week. CJ was there to make an appearance for Topps, part of his NIL deal. They were like, he's not doing autographs. He's coming here. He'll take a picture. He'll wave. He'll do the things. But then all the kids showed up because it was kids' night. And there's a bunch of kids. There's some a-hole adults that are trying to sell, do their thing. But like the kids, he's like, I'll sign for the kids. If you got a Sharpie, bring it. And so CJ hung around for about 30 minutes when he was under no obligation to do so. He could have said, thank you, I'm making my appearance, and went off. Nope. He signed every card and every helmet for the kids. Like, not the adults, the kids. He signed every single one. And that's cool. Like, not every athlete would be like that, especially this isn't his area. This isn't his hometown. He's from Florida. I liked CJ Baxter before. Y'all know I have a man crush on his abilities. I'm a big fan of CJ Baxter now. And when he makes it to the league, Razor's got a mini helmet.
There it is. There you have it. Very nice. All right. Shout out to CJ Baxter. That's always good to hear. That's good. That's a good positive NIL stuff. The NIL era. Not all bad.
Tomorrow, can we talk about the Aggies to the Big Ten? What the hell?
Huh?
What?
You haven't seen those stupid memes all over Twitter?
No, I have not. I've not seen them. Do I need to look something up?
Oh, you need to. It's freaking phenomenal.
Now, wait, is this something my Aggies have started? Are they doing it to themselves, or is it being done to them?
It's being done to them, and it's the most irrational argument you will ever hear.
Oh no!
Ever.
Okay. All right, I'll do some research.
We may have to giggle about that tomorrow because for once I will defend your Aggies to the freaking core on this one because the rumors that are going around about them bailing to the Big Ten, for more money. I'm like,
Wow. That should be in our title tomorrow. Chance Mock defends the Aggies. If that doesn't get viewers, I don't know what else. I don't know what's going to work.
I'm out. I won't be here.
All of a sudden, Chance's connection will be bad.
Jason's feats of strength. Tune in 9 o'clock Thursday night.
Oh my God. All right. We appreciate everybody jumping in. Did we hear from Lisa tonight and Specs? I don't think we did. Let's get him a little Specs, and then we'll all sip some drinks while she talks to you. Here we go.
No matter what you're needing, Specs same-day delivery can save the day with our Specs app or online shopping. From world-class wines to hard-to-find spirits and craft beers to gourmet foods, delicious snacks, and spectacular sweets. It's Specs. Cheers to savings.
In addition to those great strawberry tartlets, I need some more of this. More of this. Deep Eddy Peach Vodka. I'm almost out, Lisa. I'm almost out, Mr. Rabbit.
This cup is just empty. That's why we're going to end, because I need to refill it.
Jason, do you need a refill on baby water?
I tell you what, guys, I had to buy a whole 24-pack for this joke, so I'm pretty good on baby water for the next however long.
Jason Dick will commit to a bit.
Yeah. Hey, and that's actually a 16-ounce bottle. Just Jason has gigantic man hands. That's not a baby bottle. Jason's hands are just that big.
A lot of water. We're good on water. If anybody's baby needs water, get at me. All right.
You look like Andre the Giant when he held a 16-ounce beer. It was just like little baby things.
That's actually a 1-liter bottle.
Damn it, Bo! It was believable until you went fucking 1 liter.
That is fantastic. All right. Thanks to everybody for liking, subscribing, and getting your notifications to Orange Bloods Live. Again, we'll be back tomorrow for your 9 o'clock Thursday show. We'll talk some SEC schedule ideas and more of the quarterback room talk. We'll only be 19 days away from spring practice. Pretty damn cool. Until then, we are the Outsiders, and we are legitimately worth